We're
And we
live.
should be up.
Yep, we're live.
So tell me about your snow, Jeff.
On the snow, well, we didn't get a whole lot really, but we got really cold. We got some snow, but not like we were supposed to, what they were calling for. Now, you go down a little bit farther south to like in, David's territory, he's supposed to get 15 inches today. That's a lot of snow, I tell you what.
That's a lot of snow for one day, for sure.
Yeah. But we got some, but it's really bitter cold. Have you ever noticed that Cheryl? Hi, Cheryl. Did you ever notice that when it gets really cold that your tires will get low?
Yeah.
It was so cold, mine. I went out. I started my car up, and it starts dinging. I was like, it was down to 29 pounds. I said, you got to.
Yeah. My car's got the tire pressure indicator on the dashboard, and every year in the autumn, when the temperatures drop on the first cold day, it starts flashing saying adjust your tire pressures. So it always happens in cold weather.
Do you see the thing you have selected up on the screen right now where it says StreamYard Live Viewer?
Yeah.
Now, if you touch on that, it'll make it disappear. There you go. And then if you want to highlight Cheryl, you click on hers, and then it'll bring it up on the screen.
Just like that.
Yep, cold air reduces air pressure. Yes, it does.
Indeed. So Cheryl, what you breeding? What you breeding this week? Tell us about your babies.
Oh yes, I always love to hear. Well, I got 2 more species of corridors coming to me. My friend Tyler here in town. They're nothing. I mean, they're the Peleatus and bronze cories.
Oh, nice. I like the bronze ones.
Yep.
I like the peppered cories. I've got pygmy cories in my tank here.
That's the Peleatus, right? Is it the same thing?
I don't know. The orange Venezuelans are quite handsome as well.
Oh, I love those. There's Red Laser. Hey, Red.
Hey, Red.
How's your weather up there, I wonder? It's cold here. How is it over there where you're at, Don? Is it cold or is it?
It's getting up into the mid-40s during the day and right down around freezing at night. So, I mean, it doesn't get terribly cold over here. We might get, if I remember my Fahrenheit's correctly, we might get down to 25, maybe 20 on 25 or 20 on a very cold day.
23 right now here. 23 degrees.
23.
Yep.
That's cold. That's very cold for England, for sure.
Remember, I was telling you about that young couple that they just had a son about. It was right about almost Christmas time. A little before Christmas, they moved, and they moved into his stepmom's or mother-in-law's home because they had some type of problem where he had lost his job, and so they're living there. But he's got a new job now. But long story short, he wants to send me all of his cories, and I said, yeah, if you want to do that, that's fine. I told him, once you get set back up in your own place, I'll have them for you.
Yeah.
And he was really happy about that. So
and maybe a few extras as well.
Maybe I'll keep the extras and send them the original colony back.
If Cheryl gives up some of her secrets on breeding, yeah.
Ooh.
20 long, full of little beta unimaculata. 27's a good count.
Cheryl, I was going to talk to you. I know Jason, he wants to get some of those back again. I've been trying to breed mine, and I haven't had any luck. I don't know what it would cost to have, some of those sent to him. I would do it. I want to do it, make sure I have the money up front and everything, get it to you. But he's really wanting to get some of those, and I told him I've been trying the best I can. But I know he'd be really happy about getting those because his last pair died. Just to throw that out there. I'm sure he'd like that.
So anyhow, tonight we're going to be talking about my project for 2026. Okay. And in preparation for this, I've put together a short intro video that I'll be playing in some of the recorded sessions that I'll be doing. But to run over it very quickly, I've picked up a storage rack that I'm going to be putting some aquariums on, and I've done my damn best to pick up some marine plywood, 18 mil, which is about 3/4 inch marine plywood, to put as bases on the shelves so that the tanks don't bud, because they're not new tanks by any stretch. They're very used, and I don't want the tanks bending at all on the shelves themselves and getting stress cracks and leaks and stuff like that, because my big concern is I live in an apartment building and there are people who live below us, and if I have a tank fail, I would drown out the people that live on the floor beneath. So I'm doing my level best to make sure that everything stays sound and intact. So it's going to be a rack. I picked up 3 22-gallon bookshelf tanks, which are 35.5 inches long, and then 1 foot deep and one foot wide. Yeah, so a foot that way, and nearly 3 feet lengthwise.
Cool.
Unfortunately, one of them has a big crunch in the glass in the very corner where the bottom meets the back, and I'm not comfortable filling that completely with water. So that's going to be more of a paludarium tank. I'll fill that maybe about 1/3 with water, and that'll be doing plants. And on New Year's Day, I'm going to, with a little bit of help, start erecting the rack and getting the tanks on. And then I'll be showing people how I took these crusty old tanks and cleaned them up using vinegar and testing citric acid versus vinegar and which one's better at getting rid of lime scale and stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
And these tanks were in a domestic fish farm sort of thing, if you will. The guy had about 300 aquariums, and they were all rimless tanks. And he was into African cichlids. So he would import them from Germany. He'd drive a van to Germany once a week and pick up a load of fish and bring it back here, stick them in these tanks, and then sell them on from there. And because they were rimless tanks, and he didn't like the sight of the calcium carbonate, the crust around the top of the tank, he took black duct tape, gaffer tape, and put that around the top of the tank. And you can imagine how difficult it might be to getting that tape off when it's been on a tank for 10 years, all the adhesive and crap like that. But I found a really clever way to do that as well. So I'll be demonstrating that. But in the meantime, I'm going to try to bring up this video. It's just a very quick, it's not that one. Where are we? Videos. Introduction. There it is. Spills. And if I say open. Here, it's supposed to have some sound to it. And that was just my little play. It's I don't know if anybody saw that or not.
I like it.
How do I turn that off?
Very cool. Gunkoff works good. I've never heard of Gunkoff.
Did you hear any sound on that?
I heard the sound, the music. Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't hear it at this end.
Well, you couldn't.
Yeah. No, I couldn't at my end. No. Yeah, June. That's an intro to a series of videos that I'm going to be doing in the very near future. And sense of humor always. I mean, I'm a very self-deprecating person. I never take myself too seriously at all. And if I'm going to be the first one to take the piss out of myself, then that says to everybody else, you're welcome to do the same. So, so that was me playing around with CapCut for an afternoon, just coming up with a few lines and some funky AI guitar music and slapping it all together. Yeah. So anyhow, the plan for my tank, if you can probably see over my shoulder here, this is a 29-gallon tank that I picked up a year ago, just over a year ago, and it's on a tatty old stand MDF, multiple density fiberboard is what we call it here. It's a laminate thing, and I hate the look of it. But what I'm going to do is in the position where that tank is now, I'm going to slide the tank out, drain it down, slide it out. And then I've bought a rhino rack that is 1.2 meters wide. So it's about 42 inches wide, something like that. 43 inch, I don't know. 1.8 meters tall. So it's quite high. And then I think it's 60 centimeters deep. So I can put this tank on the bottom, and then the 3 bookshelf tanks that are slightly longer, but not quite as high, those will go on shelves above, with a storage shelf on the very top, so I can tidy up this whole area. Because the apartment that I live in is basically, it is this room. So that's the size of the room right here. A hallway, 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, and that's all we got. So I don't have room for, and nobody in England has room for, several fish rooms and stuff like that. We're very limited in what we can do. And I started keeping fish in 1969, 1970, probably about the same time you did, Jeff. And I was to the point where when I lived in Ohio, before I tore everything down to move over here, I had 27 aquariums. And I used to breed fish and sell them off or trade them to pet shops, local pet shops, for food and filter pads and whatever I happened to need at the time. And I was by no means a professional. I was just an avid hobbyist. And I took many, many years off and decided just about a year and a half ago, to get back into fish keeping. And disagree with him though I may on so many topics, it was in part Father Fish that got me back into the hobby. And I knew that his no water change method was complete bullshit because of the high nitrates and the high hardness we've got in water over here that would never ever be sustainable. And I maintain to this day that it's irresponsible for him to keep pumping this crap out without any warning, saying if you have effectively remineralized RO water coming out of your tap, it's safe to do this. But you need to understand what your water parameters are from your local source before you even think about trying it. Then, yeah, I can subscribe to it. I tried a dirted tank. I tore it down after about 10 months in this one here because I couldn't stand it. I just didn't like anything about it. So I tore it down, went straight back to natural gravel. So what I'm going to do now is put the 29 gallon on the bottom, and then above that, 2 full tanks with hopefully endangered species like tequila, splitfin goodeids, or something like that. Maybe, I don't know if the tanks are just on the edge of being big enough for Xiphophorus La Laguna, so the swordtails, which are critically endangered as well. I've joined the British Livebearers Association, and I would encourage everybody around the world to get an annual subscription, an annual membership to the British Livebearers Association, because their sole focus is the protection and propagation of endangered species, live-bearing species. And their annual membership is the princely sum of £6 a year, which is less than $10. And anybody can afford $10 once a year. And they do some very good work. And I very highly rate them. I've been to one of their meetings. I plan on going to a few more, or several more. And I've made some contacts there that are going to help me pick up fish with collection points and parentage and all of this stuff to put into these tanks. And my goal is to be able to raise them, breed them, and then return them back to the preservation side of the hobby. Possibly, if I have time, to do some education at local schools and stuff like that, trying to get some children involved in awareness, education, and interest in tropical fish, especially endangered species. So that's where I'm headed.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Father Fish, I think the reason why he gets so much traction with that, what he's talking about, the no water change thing, he is catering to people who probably want to approach it from a lazier point of view than most people would. And that's why he's popular, because they're like, oh yeah, I can do what Father Fish says. you know.
He's fishing, if you will, for inexperienced people who are thinking about getting into the hobby and not giving them the full picture. He's saying you can do this, and he's not saying it's cruel to the fish. He's not saying it's fair to the, well, he probably is saying it's fair to the fish in not so many words, but I don't agree with that. And I think that the welfare of the fish is something that should be foremost in the hobby. Far more important than our enjoyment of it is the welfare of the fish. I mean, to the point that I don't even like ordering fish for delivery. If I can't arrange to go and pick up a bag of fish from somebody, even if they're 4 hours away, if they meet me in the middle, or if they drive for half an hour and I'll drive for 3.5, I'll do that. I'm not going to stick the fish in the post for 2 or 3 days, because we've seen how many times that can go wrong, how horrifically it can go wrong. But I'm not judging anybody else who does that. I mean, I was shocked when I came back into the hobby to find out how comfortable people were with putting fish at the mercy of UPS and FedEx and United States Postal Service. And it's not allowed over here. You can order fish online over here. There's only two companies in the country who are licensed to carry these fish, the hauliers, and they have to be climate controlled, and they've got to be licensed and stuff like that. And it costs £20 minimum a shipment. So that's just a flat rate. So you go online on a Monday, you buy these fish, they'll pack them up on a Tuesday, they ship them Tuesday, they sit in a warehouse, climate controlled warehouse overnight, and you get them Wednesday by 2:00 in the afternoon. That's the law.
Wow.
It has to happen that way, or you're breaking the law.
That's a good flat rate too. It's what, about $27 American, probably?
25 at the most, yeah. It's not too bad. It's not too bad for overnight. But then again, we're about the size the UK is about the size of Pennsylvania, so it's not that much of a challenge.
Actually, almost to the acre, it's the same as Michigan, Upper and Lower Peninsula, almost to the acre.
Yeah, I mean, over here, if you get a letter, you take an envelope, one of these things here, and you put a first class stamp on it. You stick it in the mailbox by 5 p.m. It'll be delivered the next day, anywhere in the country.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait 3 or 4 or 5 days. It's next day delivery. I mean, yeah, a stamp costs £1.50, so going on $2, but it gets there the next day.
Well, like I said, in a country that size, it should be able to. I mean, really. I mean, here we got, 3,000 miles from East Coast to West?
Yeah.
There's a lot of logistics to get something moving that fast for that distance. So you mentioned the 20. What was the length on the 22 gallons again? The bookshelves. Those sound like a really cool.
They're 35 and a half inches wide, if you will, and 12 inches the other two.
Oh wow, that's
so
cool.
It's a foot high, a foot deep, and basically 3 feet long. And the aquarium volume calculator tells me it's 22.18 gallons or something like that, if you filled it right up to the top. But they're basically 20-gallon bookshelf tanks.
I know our average 20-gallon longs are 30 inches long, and I think are they 12 and 12 also? I think I'm really not sure actually. Pretty close to that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
12 inches tall and then 12 inches wide, or front to back, deep.
Yeah, I've always liked the look of the 20-gallon longs. I mean, when I was back in the day when I was in fish keeping, it was 10 gallons, 29 gallons. I've never liked the form factor of the 29 gallons. A little bit too deep. You get wet up over the elbow if you need to go into the tank to do anything. And it's just not enough surface area for the volume of the water. And I'd like to see them spread out a little bit more, which to me, the 20-gallon long does quite happily. And I did have a couple of 55-gallon tanks and a couple of 40 gallons, because a 40 is the same footprint. It fits right underneath the 55. And those were my final stage grow-out tanks, and then the tanks that I had all the plants and rocks and stuff in my living room and so forth and so on. But most of my aquariums were in my basement, and they were bare bottom with sponge filters, even back in the 80s is how I was doing that.
That's why a lot of breeders do theirs is with a bare bottom
Yeah,
tank and a
yeah.
sponge filter.
And then I just go in every couple of days with an airline. I'd use an airline as a siphon and just get the detritus out the bottom, and then a very small top up.
Yeah. And a lot of times that mulm is really good for the fry too. They go in that mulm, get a lot of food, and
little did we know back in the 80s.
I gotta turn this automatic egg collector down a little bit because it's just blasting over there, and it's making it hard to hear you. And I don't know, you can probably hear it, can't you? It's really loud.
I can only hear you.
Oh, okay. Give me a second. This thing is loud as hell, I tell you. It'll sound a lot better in a minute.
I would imagine anything coming from Hawaii is going to hit the West Coast, either Seattle or Los Angeles or San Francisco first, June. So 2 days isn't terrible.
Oh, man, it was driving me nuts. Not a long drive, but a drive nonetheless. There, that's
okay. Good. Cheryl had a Christmas card from North Carolina, 10 days to get here. Okay, I've got a story to beat that. Back in the days when I was married, my wife's parents had a villa in Spain, and the wife and I used to go to Spain twice a year on holiday. And every time I went to Spain, I'd buy 15 or 20 postcards and fill them out and send them to friends and family and stuff like that. Just let them know where in the world I was and what I was doing. And somebody, a friend of mine, rang me up one day, back when people used to make phone calls. And they said, "Oh, thanks for the postcard. I just got your postcard from Spain." And I said, "Which one was it?" And they said, "It was this one." And I said, "Well, what's the date on it?" And they looked at the date because I dated all the postcards. And they said it was 20 months ago.
20
it took
months?
4 months short of 2 years for a postcard to be delivered.
That's crazy.
It's madness.
It is.
It's madness. But hey, anything in Spain is going to happen mañana. Not today. It's always mañana.
Yeah, that's something else. Dang. Yeah. Oh, it was 3 days from Hawaii, 5 from LA. Dang. Wow. Yeah. I'm not sure how long it's going to take. I just shipped out Tracy Ballard's winning from the giveaway I did last week.
Yeah.
And I did it UPS ground, and it said it should be there by January 6th.
And what state does she live in?
Texas. Wichita, Texas.
Yeah.
And I'm of course from Michigan to there. But that's ground. It was like the most economical way of shipping it because it's just it's not a live animal or nothing. So I just
yeah. Does UPS have a central hub like FedEx has in Indianapolis, or do they just have regionals?
I really don't know the answer to that question, to be honest with you. I think you got hubs all over the place, I believe. I know we got like a distribution center here. It's like their big thing in Lansing, Michigan. But I'm not sure. I think you probably have those in most major cities, I would think.
I just know when I used to drive from Columbus out to Blue Springs, Independence, Kansas City, where Cheryl lives, there's a big FedEx complex in just on the edge of Indianapolis. It's a massive sprawling thing. It is.
Oh, Cheryl says, UPS does they do have several hubs. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense for UPS because they were in the game long before all the other players were, and that's probably their original model.
I think FedEx probably has them too. And USPS, they have different hubs all over the place because they were doing the shipping, I think, even before. Solutions prize. I won a $25 gift card from Garden of Eater. Oh wow!
Speaking of winnings, I'm trying to find something here. Bear with me, because I won something in a competition a while back. and I wasn't able to get the gift because it was Ed Moats was giving away some fish food, his own custom blend of fish food, and I was the prize winner, but he doesn't have a license to ship it from the U.S. to the U.K. So he substituted something else instead. And if I can find it, it was right here. If I can find it, I'll open it up right here on here. Hang on.
You know, that looks like a lot bigger than a 29-gallon tank, but just looking at it. I'm just messaging Beto here. He's asking me the cowboy feather fin. Okay.
There we go. I found them.
What we do here also, I mean, a lot of people do this, like if it's like Australia or somebody that we don't ship to. If you want to participate, generally what we do is you can enter for somebody in America if you wanted to. I mean, you don't get the prize, but it's good that some kind of substitution should be made. I mean, you can get like a gift card from Amazon or something. You can do those anywhere in the world easily enough, just electronically without, you know. That's probably a better way to do it for like a consolation prize. So in other words, if we have something on a giveaway or something and you win it and you can't get it because it costs, you know, an arm and a leg to ship it over there, there should be something we could do in place of it, like some type of gift card or something.
Either that or you just nominate somebody else to receive the gift.
You can do that too, but I mean, it's only fair that you should be able to get something for winning. It's very nice to do that other thing, but that's what I tend to do. Sometimes if I won that on Dan's Fish, I won the longfin super red, and it was something that nothing against anybody who likes them, but I don't like the real longfin. I know a lot of people love them, and that's fine. They look nice, but I like the short fin, and so I gave that to Holly Gibbs. So,
There's no point taking a fish, whether buying it or receiving it, that you're just not into. I mean, there is no point.
Right. I played, but I played for her, and she was able to benefit from it, and I was really happy. And that's the first time I ever won on Dan's, too. I mean, that's like 500 people that were playing for that fish. And first time I ever won it, probably the last time, too.
So anyhow, here's what I got from Ed.
Oh, yeah.
You recognize these things?
Oh, are those the fish room punks?
They are the fish room punks. And I know that Brenton hates it when people don't open their fish room punk packs. And Kyle doesn't like it either, so here goes. So I got Killer Clownfish.
Is that supposed to be a Fish Fam member?
No. This is the horror ibble. This is the Halloween version.
Oh, I see.
Crystal Lake Biotopes, I got. Mary's Famous Shrimp. Oh, wait a minute. I've just found one that is based on somebody who's recently passed away.
Oh.
Is Heiko Blair. And I used to read Heiko's articles in Tropical Fish Hobbyist magazine in the school library when I was a teenager, because that was the only place that I could get information about fish besides the pet shop, which I want to talk about as well. And this one is Prophesized Problems. So those are the horrible cards that I got. And then the Fish Room Punks trading cards.
Mm-hmm.
Smell that Chicago air on the inside. Sam Scales. Artiste.
Sam Scott. Okay.
And yep, the guy that I blame for partially for getting me back into the hobby is Father Fish.
Oh yeah.
And Rachel Carlson.
Rachel Carlson.
Serene Seeing Stefan.
Oh, Stefan. Yeah. Lush and Salty.
Yeah. And then this guy, I actually still watch his videos today. Jason Adams, Mr. Primetime.
Oh yeah. Look at him. He does. He works out a lot. Look at those arms. He's something else.
Oh yeah. He works out and he's a motor. He's a biker. He's a biker head.
Yep. And he's a professor.
He is. He is indeed. So that was my winnings from Ed Motz's drawing several weeks ago.
Nice.
So anyhow, I was so lucky talking about keeping fish back in the 70s because nobody was, so I thought I'd just bring it up and segue to it. I was very lucky in that I grew up in Columbus, Ohio, which most of us know, many of us know, is the home to the Ohio State University, which happens to have a very good college football team at the moment. But the Ohio State University also has a very strong veterinary sciences department. And so most of the pet shops that my dad would take me to when I was a kid, the hourly employees looking after all the animals and offering advice were veterinary students, college veterinary students, and that's how they supplemented their income and got their beer money and stuff like that. Then I got some very good advice from them, but it was mostly which fish to keep with which other fish and what temperatures and what food they like to eat and things like that. Because back in the Midwest, back in those days, the only two parameters, water parameters that I can recall being concerned about based on their advice was pH and temperature.
Yep.
We knew nothing about ammonia and nitrites and nitrates.
No.
And that was all science for the saltwater, for the reef tankers, and they were very few and far between back in the 70s.
Do you recall ever buying fish back in the 70s? And then did any of the people who caught your fish ask you, how long has your tank been set up?
Yeah. How old is your water?
Yep.
Because the Germans used to be so proud. I've had this 10-gallon tank, and I've never changed the water in 25 years. I've only ever topped it up, and I'm thinking to myself, those poor fish.
That was their way of asking if your tank is cycled, because I don't even think they called it cycled back then. They would just be like, how seasoned is your tank, or how old is it? How long has it been running?
Old and seasoned and aged. Yeah, but old water was king of the hill back in the days. Yeah.
The thing of it is, if there isn't a catalyst in the water, it's not going to create any beneficial bacteria. You just have a tank full of fresh water that's just aged.
I get that. I mean, the nitrifying bacteria need a food source.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, it's a little bit like sourdough bread, where you mix yeast and water, and you take it out and you stir it up and you feed it and you throw a little bit away every day, and eventually you get a yeasted starter that you can carry on for years and years and years if you want to. And it's also where algae comes from. I mean, where do you think algae comes from? It comes from spores floating around in the air. You can set up a tank with tap water and sterilized everything, and if there's nutrients and enough light source in the water and no fresh plants, no live plants to compete, especially, you're going to get algae. And where the hell does it come from? Well, it's spores floating around in the air. And it's the same to me with nitrifying bacteria. The bacteria don't just magically appear because you've got an ammonia source in the tank. They have to come from somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I've never in my life, up until last year, used this so-called live beneficial bacteria, which I still think is a load of nonsense. I still think that's just an ammonia source or a nutrition source for the beneficial bacteria that are floating around in the atmosphere. Because, I mean, and I've asked people about this before, if anybody could explain to me why they can put so-called live nitrifying bacteria, beneficial bacteria, in a plastic bottle in a factory in, whether it's in Texas or Indonesia or China somewhere, and stick it in a warehouse and stick it on a ship or stick it on a train or whatever and ship it halfway across the country or halfway around the world, and then let it sit in a wholesaler's warehouse for a month or 2 or 5, and then
still be alive without any oxygen source.
Go out to Petland's distribution center, or give me another chain shop, Petco, PetSmart, whatever, and sit in their warehouse for a month, and then go out to the shop and sit on the shop shelves for 2 or 3 months. Yeah, it's got a sell-by date, but how is that? How can that possibly be in a factory sealed bottle? How can that be live nitrifying bacteria when people in the same breath will tell you, and if you turn off your canister filter or you turn off the air pump to your sponge filter for more than 15 minutes or an hour, your nitrifying bacteria will die.
Oh, well, the sponge filter won't.
Shit.
If the sponge filter's in your aquarium, it's not going to. That won't die in there. That is false. I mean,
but they are aerobic bacteria. They're not anaerobic. They're aerobic bacteria.
Right.
And even if it is anaerobic bacteria, and I'm not sure that there is such a thing as anaerobic nitrifying bacteria. I'm not a scientist. I have no idea, but I've never heard of such a thing. Then how does that equate to beneficial aerobic nitrifying bacteria in the aquarium, which is what they say on the bottle that they're selling you? So just truth in advertising, which I just wish there was a little bit more of.
All I know about, I mean, I don't know a whole lot about the science end of that, but I do know that I've been putting sponge filters in all of my aquariums for years and years and years, right?
Yep.
And when I go to start a new tank, what I tend to do is I'll take the one that's been running in the tank, this dirt eater, and squeeze that out into the new tank, plug it in, let it settle down, and if it's fine, I mean, if it works, it works, and it's always worked, but I don't know exactly. I know that the beneficial bacteria, it's like the slime coat that goes all over the glass and everything. That's what is supposed to be the good stuff. And it's when you go to clean all that so much that, I used to clean my tanks spick and span, and I was wondering why all my fish were dying all the time. Yeah. Because it was too clean. It was ammonia spikes, nitrites. I
can remember as a kid taking my hang-on. Do you remember the old hang-on back filters, Jeff, that had the motors, because they had the big electric motors that sat on top of the hang-on back?
I do.
Because they ran so hot that the temperature of your water would be too high for the fish. So the motor sat on top of the tank, and it was a big thing in a metal case, and lots of copper wire coils around it and stuff like that. And I used to take that thing apart once a month, take it into the bathroom and run scalding hot water in it and give it a good scrub with an old toothbrush. The hell was I doing? But nobody knew any different back in the day.
We didn't know,
No.
All we knew is we were killing fish and going buying more, and then the people would say, well, how long has your tank been set up? Yeah. And I said, well, it's been set up for a couple of weeks now, and but my fish died, and I need, get some more. And he says, well, they sell them, and then gradually it seemed like they start living a little longer and longer, and then you realize that I think it was like a natural way of, I'm not becoming lazy, but I guess it's like lightening up on the cleaning, because things are going good. So why do I want to do that? You get to the point where it's like, without any information like we have now, I mean, they don't know how good they got it now. We did all this is like from the ground up. It's like we went through a lot of trial and error, and there's a lot of error.
Yeah, but because I try not to say but, so I try to say and one of the other factors is that we reach a point where we get so many tanks that we can't put all of our focus on that one tank and give it a serious scrub once a week. And then we eventually find out that the less that you do to an aquarium, the healthier everything is. I've got this tank here. I've got algae on both sides. I've got algae on the back, and I think that's great. I've got Otocinclus in the tank. I've got ammonia shrimp in the tank, the pygmy cories, and some black neon tetras. I had 14 black neon tetras a year ago, and I've got 5 now. But it's either neon tetra disease or tuberculosis or something like that. But every month or so, one of them just bloats up, and goes loopy, starts swimming upside down and sideways, and then dies. Or I put it in clove oil because I think that's a responsible thing to do. So I'm waiting for those to finish off, and then I'm going to put the Gideids in the tank and stop trying to fight parameters with botanicals and stuff like that. Because the other thing is that the tap water that I've got is high nitrate, but I've got live plants that do a very good job taking care of the nitrate. But it's also very high in KH and GH. The tap water that we get here is almost illegal by European standards, but not quite. We get 38 parts per million nitrate coming out of the tap, and that's on a good day. That's on a day when they've not been messing with water supply maintenance or anything like that. And they put that down to farmer fertilizer runoff. So they're over fertilizing the fields, and it runs off into the underground aquifers, which is where our water comes from over here. So I was fighting an uphill battle, trying to keep the water parameters safe for the black neons, but apparently they're quite good for the Gideids and basically fish from Mexico, which is what I'm interested in.
June's asking, says, the fishless cycle, when did that start? Yeah, you know what? Fishless cycle. I've never done a fishless cycle.
I suppose I have, but I didn't start it with food. I've set this tank up, and it was a dirted tank. So I had a layer of pond soil, big mistake, never use pond soil in an aquarium. Pond soil covered with a layer of old substrate from somebody else's aquarium, and then top that off with Fluval Biostratum. And then I bought some plants on eBay and chucked those in and just let the tank run with the light on full bore about 20 hours a day for about 7 weeks before I added anything to the tank. No food, no nothing. So whatever plant leaves died, turned brown, and rotted and decayed, I left them in the tank. So I suppose that might have been an ammonia source. And I started off with Neocaridina shrimp and Otis Inclus catfish, and then later added the black neon tetras, which were probably munching on the Neocaridina babies as soon as they were old enough to come out of hiding. But I've since moved the Neocaridinas out of that tank. But yeah, I mean, back in the day, Jeff, again, back showing our age, and back in the 70s, you go to the pet shop, they sell you a brand new tank and everything's sterile and spotless and so forth and so on. They say, yeah, set the tank up and let it run for a week, and then come back next weekend, we'll sell you some fish. And that was the advice that I got. And they sold me, I think, 2 bleeding heart tetras and a Cory catfish. And they said, if those all survive, if those 3 fish survive for the next 2 weeks, come back and we'll sell you a couple of black skirt tetras. So for my first 10-gallon tank, that's what I had. I had 2 bleeding hearts, 2 black skirt tetras, and a single common Cory. And that was me happy. Then eventually I put some platies in and stuff like that, and got more tanks and got guppies and got really involved and so forth and so on. But it was always set it up, let it run for a week, and then it was a slow introduction of fish with a little bit of food, and just let it ramp up.
Beto has just arrived for Don. Hey, Beto. We were chatting on there for a second. June, did you see what June says that it's better than peeing in my tanks?
Yeah, apparently saltwater people do that. Yeah. My kinks are completely different than peeing in tanks. I do other things.
You know something? I'm going to say that, and I don't. I don't know if he'll watch this or not, but John from KGT Tropicals was talking about that, about getting an ammonia source, and he was talking. He says, yeah, and he says like, yeah, some people, I mean, they might even pee in their tanks. And he looked away, and I thought to myself, that dude has done that. I could tell as an ADHD person, I could tell that that guilty, shameful thing when he turned his head. Yep, that man.
You're a living, breathing lie detector, Jeff.
What's that?
I said you're a living, breathing lie detector. You can
Yeah,
tell when somebody's trying to pull the wool over your eyes.
I can tell. Absolutely. And I thought to myself, when he did that, I was like, that man has done that. He's done it. He'll probably he'd deny it if he was here, but you know what? That doesn't matter. That doesn't make the fact that it wasn't true.
Lots of people can deny lots of things.
Yep, ammonia. Yep.
Yep.
I don't use that method.
So tell me about your Ivana bimaculatas, Jeff. How are they getting on?
Well, they both spawned. Both tanks spawned. Last night I did a live late last night, and the one that I had the camera on that you seen the replay on, the eggs are no longer in that flower pot, but the male and female I have. There is a big flat rock. I got some black like flagstone things in there.
Yep.
And the male was digging pits all around there. So, but they're guarding that area ferociously. So I'm thinking that they either hatched and moved them down there, or they may have moved them.
He's okay. Go ahead.
But I'm not sure. But all I know is that they're guarding something, and that leads me to believe that something's still happening. The other tank, she's still in there. She's still in the hut. And the eggs are still there, so I'm thinking that might have been the second spawning. So,
okay, for the first one, with him clearing out the spots on the rocks, to me that sounds like daddy fish preparing a place for the fry to come out and have their first few swims in, where they can be contained. So they tried to dig like a little dish in the soil.
And we were watching him do that.
A little pool.
He was moving a lot of sand around.
Yeah. They will do that if they've got confidence in the hatch. If they've not got confidence in the hatch, then they're going to turn around and eat the eggs. So that him clearing out those spots is a very good sign, in my experience.
So right now, I'm going to say that all I'm doing is praying that they're going to be all right. I mean, there's not a whole lot more I can do about that at this point.
Right, you got to sit back and let them be fish. And I think people need to do more of that. And if you got your hands on the tank every single day, you need to chill. You need to chill.
I'm not invasive at all. In fact, I don't like catching fish. Period. I don't like reaching in there for anything.
No, our job is to set up the environment and give them the conditions to thrive, and let them get on with it. Let the fish in the water and the plants get on with it, and interfere as little as possible.
Yep.
Simple as that.
And I think that's the reason why. I mean, I go around here. I mean, I'll stop and look at the tanks, and I like to sit away from them, like right here where I'm at. I got tanks over here to the side of me here, but they're a good 3 or 4 feet away, and I can sit here and watch them without getting in their face. And then if I do any filming of them, I can use the zoom on my phone to bring them closer to a certain degree. But I don't like to get up there, and I don't like to make the fish nervous.
Yeah.
Because, if you do that, you're going to scare them. They're never going to come out.
I mean, even with my skittish black neon tetras, when I drop some flakes in the tank, I've got to go and stand on the other side of the room while they eat, because if I come back and sit in front of the tank, food just falls to the bottom. They hide in the plants. They just don't want to know. They've been in the tank for over a year now, and they still think I'm out to get them. They will never learn.
Train them though. You can train them a little bit, and you might go a couple days when they're really good and hungry. Then put a little bit of food in and just sit there very quietly, and then they'll get to the point where I can trust this. This is where my food source is coming from, and then before you know it, every time you go and put the food in there, they're going to be right there.
If I keep the plants trimmed down, and I did trim them just the other day, if I keep them trimmed down so that they're about 5-6 inches below the water level, then the fish, the black neons, they will come out and eat. But if the water wisteria, dwarf wisteria, grows up to the top of the water surface, they'd far prefer hiding in the plants than they do to coming out and eating. But I think they have a good forage in the middle of the night when nobody's looking.
I just noticed this. I don't mean to interrupt. Java in the huts. It sounds like a group. Like lettuce make chips.
Yeah, Java.
That's cool. Jabba in the Hutt. Yep. Oh, sorry about that. I just seen that and just kind of caught my
That's all right. That's all right. So I'm curious. Is any of the other three, maybe four people here in chat? Are you keeping any endangered fish that you know of? Because you probably there's a good chance you are keeping endangered fish, but don't even know about it.
I know that Beto he was keeping good ads.
If you do a simple Google search and say what percentage of fish in the what tropical fish in the hobby are considered to be endangered, it'll come back and tell you about 24% that are endangered or threatened in their native habitat, either because of overfishing to satisfy people like us, or because of landslides, or because of human intervention and bulldozing over freshwater springs or whatever. But it's shocking how many different species are actually considered threatened and endangered in the wild. And I never thought that I would be a conservationist. I'm not a tree hugger or anything like that, but these poor fish, and I feel bad for especially the ones that are suffering because of our own actions. Things that we have complete control, conscious control over, and we still decide, who cares if that fish goes extinct? It's been around for millions of years, but this place has got to have a Walmart. So let's plow in, bulldoze over these freshwater springs, which is the only place in the world that they exist. Because, God damn it, Mexico needs another Walmart, And
that's a wonderful thing you're doing with your trip, Don. That's great. That's a great mission statement. What you're doing something that you're doing something above and beyond where other people have made damages to the environment, and you care enough for the fish that you're doing, and you like these species. You're taking care of them, and you're doing something about it.
Yeah, and I'm a guy with 3 or 4 fish tanks. How much can I do? I don't know.
Every little, what? You can breed a lot of fish. You could start. Technically, if you've got a couple spawns of fish, and out in the wild, if they got the environment so again, that might be the seed they need to get started again. I don't know if that's enough in the gene pool to do it, but
yeah. Mr. Lightcap has entered the building.
What about the building?
I said Mr. Lightcap has entered the building. He is in the house.
Yep, cherry barbs are endangered. You know that? Cherry barbs. They're on the CARES list.
Yeah.
I got my cherry barbs. I got Xenotoca dodroi, and then the limias. I'm not sure if the limias are endangered or not, but they might be.
They probably are. They probably are. Yes. Anyhow, I've had agreement from to get Branton up here one day to talk to me about plants for my cracked or my chipped tank that I'm going to try to make something not quite spectacular, but more than just run-of-the-mill easy plant tank, with a little bit of help from him, his advice and suggestions, and then people like Nick Schultz, hard water propagation, and Ed Motes, who are into the endangered fish and the Gadaeids and stuff like that, and get them up and have them give me advice on what a guy with 3 tanks or 4 tanks can do, and will it make a difference, and how to get started and how to maintain, and what foods and what temperatures, and do they need breeding rest periods, and lots of things that people don't think about when you come into.
If you do a paludarium, you should get some vampire crabs.
Sorry.
If you do a paludarium, you should do vampire crabs. You can actually breed them, and they'll breed, and you can sell them.
I'm into fish.
Well, yeah, they're kind of like a semi-aquatic. They'll go in the water a little bit, but they spend most of their time on land. So,
hey, Lori.
Hey, Lori, welcome in. But it's just that's what I would do. I would do something kind of interesting. I like doing kind of weird stuff though.
Yeah. Yeah.
vampire crabs, and all that kind of stuff.
I just think that I've had so much pleasure from keeping fish over the years. Quite a few years. It is time for me to put something back.
I'm
And
somewhat of a snailaholic too. I love one of the ornamental snails. I love my rabbit snails. All kinds of stuff. It's just interesting. Little crayfish. I like those little Cambarellus diminutus, the smallest crayfish in the world. I've had them. They're really cool. I mean, I like to spice it up a little bit. you know,
if I had as many tanks as you, I might put up a snail tank or two, or maybe a crabfish. But I'm quite limited in as you've seen what I've got the room for. So yeah.
I'll do a snail rack, actually, a whole rack of like 12 different tanks or something, and then have like white wizard live bearing snails, and then my rabbit snails, mystery snails, pagoda snails, you name it. There's lots of different types. I like them.
You got the space for it. You got the tanks for it. Nice.
Yep.
Nice indeed. So have you finished your eggnog for the season, Jeff?
Finish my what, eggnog? No.
Yeah.
I think that about the half gallon I bought, I got just a little less than half of that half gallon. So I got a couple nice, 3 or 4 nice good glasses of it yet.
I still have 3 eggs in the cupboard and some double cream and vanilla and sugar and all the stuff that it takes. So I'll be making up the last of my fresh eggnog tomorrow.
Oh yeah, for New Year's.
Last for the season, yeah. I'm just because it's there and I love it. I've not had. I'll tell you, Jeff. You can't buy eggnog in the stores over here. There's a bottle of something called Advocaat, which is a Dutch, inspired by eggnog or something. It's used in cocktails to make a drink called a snowball or something like that. And I've tried Advocaat, and I just don't like it. I just do not like it. It's not the same as fresh eggnog. And so I've not had eggnog for probably 35 years, as long as I've lived over here. But I finally got the gumption to make some fresh for myself the other day. And I made some on Christmas Eve. And I sat down, I sprinkled some nutmeg on the top of it, and I sat down after it was chilled in the fridge for a couple of hours, poured myself a mug and took a drink, and I thought, God, I feel 10 years old again. All of this.
Oh, yeah. Isn't that great?
That Christmas tradition. Every Christmas morning, the kids, there were 4 of us, we'd line up on the stairs, wait for Dad to bring out a tray with juice glasses full of eggnog with a little bit of nutmeg on the top. You knock that back, and then he's like, go! And we'd all run to the tree because Santa Claus wrapped most of the presents, but not all of them. So you could see your brand new fishing rod or your brand new shiny bicycle or your skateboard or something like that. You didn't even have to wait to unwrap it. And yeah, the Christmas games had begun. Yeah, but the taste of the eggnog and the nutmeg took me right back to my childhood. I missed it so much.
The thing of it is, the people that don't appreciate that flavor, right? I mean, some people don't like it. Some people don't like it, and some people like us. I can take a drink of that, and you know what? It just makes me feel it's just magic.
Well,
good.
There's nothing not to like. There's nothing not to like. It's like a vanilla milkshake with a bit of nutmeg sprinkled on the top. And if you don't like nutmeg, don't put nutmeg in it. If you got no Scandinavian blood in you and you don't like nutmeg, okay, I get it. Leave the nutmeg out.
Remember that we said skull.
Skull.
That means cheers.
That's it.
Skull's me. Eggnog is indeed magic. Yes, it is, Branton. It is.
Right. Eggnog with brandy, Jim. That's what you want. Eggnog with brandy after a cold night of caroling. Something to warm your clogs up.
Yes. Eggnog. Yep, it is. I got the hot water tank filled back with continued water changes in the living room. Wow. Is delicious after caroling. Oh, yeah. Or before. It is. I mean, It makes me want to go get some right now.
Yeah.
I probably have some after the stream is over with, but I'm going to save a good portion of it for tomorrow night
Hey, Barbara.
for the live stream. Barbara, yay! Hello.
Well, it's a real labor of love making it from scratch because you've got to stand at the saucepan with the whisk and constantly stir for about 10 minutes to get it up to temperature because you've got to get it up to 71 Fahrenheit. Then you have to decant it out of the saucepan into another vessel and put that up on a trivet to get it down to a temperature that's safe to put in the refrigerator to chill it until it's cold enough to drink. So it's about a 3-hour process.
Oh, Red's asking you a question here. Do you use turmeric for the eggnog?
Turmeric? I put turmeric in bread and butter pickles, and I actually made some bread and butter jalapenos the other day, cowboy candy, and that called for turmeric. The recipe called for, it was nutmeg, and did it call for, there's something else.
You had eggs, of course. 3 eggs?
Egg yolks.
Egg yolks, okay.
Egg yolks, cream, sugar, a bit of whole milk. If you use what we call double cream over here, which would be like thick cream or whipping cream or something in the States. And if the cream itself is too thick, you water it down with a bit of whole milk, a splash of vanilla, and a few other bits.
Get it nice and chilled, and then sprinkle some nutmeg on it. Oh.
Was it? Cart? Was it? Oh. Coriander seeds? Was it calling for? Couldn't have been coriander. Something I made the other day called for coriander. But yeah, never mind. Don't confuse that with anything. I don't think it called for turmeric, but it might have been an optional.
I'm just not going to get any this time. Oh, that's too bad. You should get some, Barbara, and we're going to do a toast tomorrow night.
Eggnog is the nectar of the gods.
It is. It is. You know, Gil, he calls it angel. He says it's like angel tears.
Angel tears.
Angel tears. He calls it. I was like, oh, that's a new one. I call it like heaven in a glass. You just sip it. It's like everything is
nice.
All right in the world.
Just super creamy and that vanilla flavor. Nice.
Yep. Yep. I am looking forward to it. I am gonna have a cup when I go upstairs. A little bit.
I don't blame you. Okay, well, listen, thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff, for your time. I hope you don't get snowed upon too much this evening, but I think it's time for me to wrap things up at my end.
Oh, yeah, it is. Well, you're 5 hours ahead of us. So
yeah, it's going on 11 o'clock here.
Yeah. Understandable.
Yeah.
I appreciate
I'm gonna go and have a Jim Beam cola when I finish this, because that's what I do.
Back when I used to drink, it was Canadian Club and cola.
Yeah, good old CC.
All CC and Coke. Yep, that's what back when I used to drink. That was the one I would drink to get feeling good, really. But we'd always would be beer or something. But I don't drink any of it anymore. I quit it. I quit it myself. But thanks for the stream, everyone. Yes, thank you. It's some taco.
Taco Tuesday.
Oh, that's right. It is
Taco Tuesday. So, Cheryl, do they still have Zantigos around Kansas City? Because the Diablo green burrito was the best thing ever. It beat Taco Bell hands down. Zantigos. Way back when. All right. Anyhow, thanks, guys. Thanks for showing up, and thanks for hanging out. And
Thank you,
watch this space. Watch this space, because we'll be doing some tank cleaning before too long, some rack building, and I'll document the process of setting up the system to breed and return back to the hobby some good eads and things like that.
You got your intro. You have an outro as well.
Sorry.
The intro was fantastic. You got. I really like that. Do you have an outro as well?
No, I just have to play the intro again.
I need some help with getting an intro and outro for myself because it's
Well,
time to get started,
they're easy to do.
It's easy.
Yeah, it took me about an hour and a half to put together.
Probably take me about a month. Some
There
days.
you go. Here you go. It's going to feed.
Hamburg Benton filters. I'm on a budget. I fail. I fail sometimes. It's an option, right?
Yeah, failure is always an option in our world.
I don't always choose that option, but sometimes it befalls us. You know, it just kind of.
Yeah, but you get a tank. You get a tank set up in a room with your fish and your plants and your light and everything, and it's running beautifully, and the fish are thriving and the plants are thriving and all of that stuff. And then you just decide to change the layout of the room, and you move the tank from this wall to that wall, and the tank just goes to shit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's as much of an art and luck as it is any science. And if at first you don't succeed, move the damn tank. That's what I say.
Mm-hmm.
Slide it down the wall 2 feet and see what happens.
Yep.
Yeah.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
And if it is broke, just move it.
Yeah, just move it. You'll fix it then. That way.
Just scoot it down the wall or put it on a different wall or whatever.
Where there's a way, there's a will.
Put different fish in it, change your food, whatever. All right. Thanks, everybody. Enjoyed tonight.
I did too, very much. Thank you, Don.
Yeah. We'll do it again soon. Thanks, Jeff, for the help. Always nice to have a
Anytime,
wingman.
Anytime. All right.
All right. Thanks, everybody. And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Bye-bye.